Hello, everybody. Yeah, welcome to Just for Women Africa. And my name is Olaleko Amoso, the founder of Just for Women Africa. Today, we're on an interview all the way from Accra, Ghana. We have with us Fleur. Fleur owns a bakery here in Ghana with two branches, one in East Legon and one on the Spintex Road. She's talking to us about how she got into the bakery industry and anything that comes up during the conversation. So stick around and we'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Yeah, welcome back to Just for Women Africa. And we'll have us Fleur. Fleur, yeah, welcome to Just for Women Africa.
Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, Fleur. You're welcome to Just for Women Africa. Fleur, before we get into the bakery, could you just tell us briefly about yourself?
So I'm 31. My name is Fleur, and I own the French bakery here in Ghana. But everything started in Lagos, Nigeria, where I am born. Then, when I was about 14 years old, we moved to Senegal in Dakar, where I graduated from school. After Dakar, I was lucky enough and privileged enough to be able to go and study abroad. So in Europe, I went to South America and Asia as well. But when I finished and had my first professional experience abroad, I really felt the urge to come back to West Africa, where I grew up. And that's where I ended. Well, that's how I came to Ghana, working for a South African agribusiness company. And I worked for them 2 years in Accra, and then I started my bakery.
Okay, Fleur. All right, so you were in the corporate world working for a South African company. What motivated you to quit your job and say, okay, I want to start my own business, I want to start my own bakery, doing my own stuff?
Okay, so first, I loved my job with the South African company, and I'm so grateful for my team leader who literally taught me so much. But then there's one value that really inspired me. The value of this South African company was to reduce importations into Africa. So they were in many different countries in Africa. I was working in Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Burkina Faso. And let me make it very quick, but one of my projects was working in the cassava business, and I was transforming cassava just to get the starch, because my goal was to replace potato starch, that is an imported product, by cassava starch. And in Ivory Coast, for example, they transform a lot of meat to make sausage, to make ham or saucisson. I mean, and then to do all those products, they need starch. And those meat producers were relying mostly on the importation of potato starch. And when we introduced cassava starch to them, we realized that it was even actually more powerful than potato starch. So the end of story, we replaced an imported product by cassava, which is locally produced. So this means it creates economy locally wise, and we found a more performant product. So it was kind of my job in those three different countries in different fields. But anyways, this value of reducing importations really inspired me, because at that time, so I'm talking 6-7 years ago, the only bakery that was distributing French bread, remember I'm from a French family, so we eat baguette, was actually a bakery that is, because there still are, importing frozen bread from Europe. That means the bread has been baked in a factory in Europe, and then whilst it's imported here in Ghana, it's frozen. And for me, it did not make sense. For my mom, neither. That's why she was baking her bread at home. But remember that bread is one of the most simple staples. It's only water, flour, salt, and yeast. So that's how we started. We were like, okay, let's reduce bread importations here in Ghana, especially for foreign bread, and let's bake it locally.
I had no idea that Ghana importing bread. Since you started your bakery 4 years ago, have you been able to supply those hotels in the hospitality industry your bread?
So I have not been able yet to break into the hotels, the major hotels. However, the conversation space has been quite open with all those high-end restaurants, because they're always looking to renew themselves, to propose new stuff to their customers. And then I do supply my bread to restaurants. And I think what's interesting also with them is that they push me even more into my daily job because they want me to bake with local cereals, which has been done because today we bake bread with millet flour, maize flour, and fonio flour as well. And all this started by the collaboration with some restaurants.
Why do you think some of the hotels are not pushing to patronize your bread, instead they want to import?
There's a few reasons to that. Option one, maybe they already have their team of bakers and they already bake their own bread. But the most, generally speaking, those hotels, they use the frozen bread that is imported because it's all about processes. It's a process that is in place already since so many years. Then number two, it's contracts those hotels have with the people importing that frozen bread. Number three, I mean, it's very difficult to, I think, because I don't work with them, but I think it's difficult for them to change anything in their daily processes because they have to go and seek approval from the headquarters that are abroad. And I mean, it's a lot of steps. And the fourth is that you have to be very aware that changing a process in a company, that means changing the way you do stuff daily since 10 years with the same employees. It's very complicated. I mean, when you know how to do one thing and then from a day to another, we come up and we tell you, you have to do it differently. It seems very easy for most of us, but then generally in a company, it takes time. So I don't think they're ready yet to take the time to change all those processes, but it's just a matter of time. I mean, I'm sure and I'm hoping that in a few years, they can purchase from local bakers instead of importing. And whether it's purchased from me or from other local bakers, I mean, the whole idea is just to break down this thing of importing bread from abroad, where we have all the tools and knowledge to make it locally.
Talking to you, I can assume you bake a lot of bread. How many breads do you bake a day?
So I would say more or less. Look, and it's a very broad number, but and it depends a lot whether it's raining, it's not raining, whether my restaurants have a lot of clients or not. But I would say between 500 and 600 breads. But this is including all the varieties of breads I have, which is more or less 90 varieties. So it's huge.
Let's talk about a bakery, La Boul'Accra. I hope I got the pronunciation correct.
La Boul'Accra.
Talk to us about La Boul'Accra. I know it's French. What does it mean?
Okay, so la bakery in French is la boulangerie. So because it's so complicated to pronounce it in English, I just decided to shorten it into La Boule. And I decided to put Accra because for the moment we're in Accra. And let's see, maybe one day we will be somewhere else and we would just change the Accra and add the name of the city we will be in.
So let's talk about your bakery. You started 4 years ago. What were some of the challenges in setting up a bakery when you started 4 years ago?
So the human challenge, which means staff, right? Managing your staff, hiring your staff. I'm doing something completely new, which is baking French bread. Here in Ghana, we have the knowledge of baking the local bread, whether it's tea bread, butter bread, sugar bread. I mean, all those kind of local breads, we have the knowledge. But when it comes to baguette, when it comes to croissant, when it comes to all of those things, I mean, it's normal. It's not part of the culture. So I had to literally decide if I would be taking bakers that already have experience in local baking, or will I take people that have zero experience but just want to learn? And I chose option B, which is literally hiring people who have no idea about the baking, and then I teach them everything. And just to give you an example, my first worker was actually my security guy.
Wow. Wow, that's nice.
Yes, and today, I mean, he's still with me 4 or 5 years later, and he's now the sous chef. So you see, I mean, baking is a real career. It's one of the oldest jobs that exist, but I mean, it's a career. The guy started not knowing anything, and today, I mean, I trust him 100%. Sometimes I don't even go into the bakery and he knows exactly what he's doing.
Wow. So how did you get your security guard to be part of your team? Did you approach him or he approached you? How did that come about?
I think it was a common thing where he was seeing me maybe waking up very early and trying, because mind you, I'm not born a baker. I had to learn from scratch as well, because before I was a finance analyst, so nothing to do with baking. But so I think he was seeing me doing trials and errors, baking, and I also sometimes I was asking him to come and maybe try some bread with me. And then one day he was like, okay, madam, I'm working at night. I would love to work in the day. And then I was like, at what time will you sleep? And I don't know, he was just really motivated. And I was like, okay, dear, come. And then eventually he stopped the security job and now he's a full-time baker. No, but I mean, I also love that part of my job, when I hire people and they come and maybe, they're just out of school or they have a difficult story, or I don't know. I don't always ask what they went through because I'm also a very emotional person. Um, and business is business, work is work. And then when we're out of work, I can have all those emotional feelings and try to dig more into people. But um I've just seen people come out kind of their little shell by working in the bakery, because they come and now they have a job, they have something they know how to do perfectly. Like, you're a baker. Tomorrow you want to leave and maybe work for a bigger bakery business. Go ahead. I gave you all the tools. I trained, and you worked, and now you know perfectly how to do bread. You have a job. And then also when I see that, I don't know, thanks to the job, the salary or whatever, I don't want to say it's thanks to me, not at all. I mean, it's thanks to them. But you see the kids going to school, and then you see that, okay, they've moved house and they have a better place to stay. And it's just about seeing someone, growing. And at the end of the day, if my team of 15 people are still with me after 5 years, I guess they like their job. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not about survival anymore, right? It's because maybe you appreciate your work environment and your job. So it's also part of what makes me happy. And sometimes if I want to quit, because it's also very difficult, the bakery business, but sometimes if I want to quit, then you're like, okay, but you've also created something nice and people are also happy about what they're doing, so let's keep on going.
All right, Fleur. That's a great story. All right, Fleur. Could you tell us, two of you who are watching, who's hearing for your breaking for the very first time, could you run us through the various bread types you sell?
Okay, I'll not talk about all of them, but I'll just do a broad presentation, right?
Sure.
So of course we have the one and only baguette, the French stick, the long bread. Then we also do healthy bread such as whole grain, whole wheat bread. We also do multi-grain bread, which is made with whole wheat, and then we add seeds inside. We do my 3 favorite breads, and I'm super proud of them. Fonio bread, millet bread, and yellow maize bread. And then after we go for, of course, the garlic bread, sun-dried tomato bread, dried fig and walnuts bread. After we go to the sweet part, we have all the croissant, the chocolate one, the raisin, the plain, the almond, the one with the pastry cream and chocolate chips, ham and cheese only. And then we go to the brioche. So brioche is kind of like your butter bread. We have it plain with chocolate chips. We have it with Nutella, cinnamon, cappuccino. And then after we have all the French desserts, the strawberry tarts, the choux à la crème, the éclairs, the cheesecakes, the millefeuille. It's a very broad variety, but I really invite you to come to our Instagram account, La Boul'Accra, and then I try to create as much content as possible to show and explain what do we do.
Currently, you have two branches, one in East Legon and one on the Spintex Road. Do you have plans to open more branches around Accra and Ghana?
I wish. The only thing is I'm a one woman show. So already dividing myself into two is complicated and makes my days kind of chaotic. But let's see. I mean, I'm really looking towards this year to find the person that can really help me develop. So someone I can trust, someone that has the same ideas as me, someone that has experience in either the restaurant business or bakery business. Because alone for me now it's very difficult to expand. And because I'm so strict on the fact that I really want that everything we serve to my customers are very good quality, are tasty, are fresh. Yeah, I have to be here myself to verify all of that. And each time there's an issue, because yes, it's not everything is not pink. Sometimes we have issues, we have problems. But I really take it for myself. It's like as if I personally did a mistake, and I really try to put things together, apologize. I mean, I really want everyone to feel like if you come to whether it's the bakery or whether the coffee shop, it's like if you're one of my friends or you're part of my family, and you're being invited. So whatever you will eat or drink, we will do our best for you to enjoy it the same way I do when I receive guests in my house, because it's a family business. It's something I started with my mom, and my mom was baking bread for our family. So the way she is baking, I'm still baking. So that's the whole idea of the concept. That's why, yes, I would love to expand, but I have to find my perfect fit, another human being that can help me to expand.
Okay, so we'll to my next question. As an entrepreneur in Ghana, Accra, Ghana, I mean, you just mentioned that, you're basically doing everything. How are you able to balance, your social life, work and other things together and still be a CEO of a company?
Oh, there's no balance. I'm telling you right away, there's no balance. When you're an entrepreneur, honestly, you have to love what you do, and then you have to have really good friends that forgive you not being here for their birthdays, not being here for the weekends away. You also need a perfect husband to love you the way you are and accept the times that you're not at home. But we're working on it every day. Look, my main goal is to be able to run my business without me being here, because what I believe is that everything I know or the experience I have, I would love to, pass it over and then have a business that runs alone. But that's kind of utopic. It's a dream, but we're working towards it. So yeah, the answer to your question, unfortunately, the reality is there's no balance. I mean, I work a lot, and the rare times and the rare moments I have with my friends and family, I mean, I really cherish them and enjoy fully, and pray to get better to be able to spend more time with them.
So we'll to the next question. This is just for women in Africa. Can you tell us what it's actually like being a woman doing business in Ghana and in Africa?
Well, I think that we don't suffer. I don't think we are in a very difficult society here, at least in Ghana. I cannot speak for the other countries, but here, at least in Ghana, I think we do have respect from the men. I mean, look at all those women that are selling in the streets. It's all women. So mostly, I think we do have respect. Then after, it's just a matter of how you deal with things. I am the type of woman that you cannot walk on my head. Like, it's not possible. When I'm in charge, I'm in charge. Then when you know better than me, definitely. I mean, I know how to give you the power. Okay, you're here to do your job, do your job. But when it comes to my job, I take feedback, I take advice, but I mean, you cannot, I don't know how to say in English, but in French we have this saying that you cannot walk on top of my head. You cannot tell me, oh, because I'm a woman, I have to shut up, or I have to go back to the house and take care of the kids. No. I built this whole thing not alone. Of course, all the staff is here, but I mean, I was always on top and taking responsibilities, the good ones as the bad ones. And I mean, I have the credit for that. So I think it's just a matter of how you deal with people and how you put in place this respect, the mutual respect that you have to have towards each other. But globally, I mean, I don't really see the difference. And for me, in a society, I really think that you have to have a balance. It's not that women are stronger or men are stronger. I mean, I need men in my team. I'm grateful for all the men that carry the 50 kg flour bags for me. But I'm also grateful for all the women that work with me and that have maybe a more developed sense of detail, that are more, you know, men and women, we all complete ourselves. And everyone who works in my company know that we have to respect that. And there is no one that is under each other. And a team is created by 50% men, 50% women, and we work perfectly that way.
With your two branches, when did you think that was, when did you decide and say, okay, I need to expand outside Spintex and open a branch in East Legon? Was this something that you had planned towards, or just something that came up?
It's kind of something that my customers were asking. They were asking for a place to sit down and enjoy the goodies that they were buying from my bakery. Because literally my bakery is not really like a shop, a general way that everyone knows a bakery shop. It's kind of a factory shop. We produce, and then we have a little office where you can pass by and literally pick up everything that just came out of the oven. So it's nothing fancy. But then more and more people were like, Fleur, don't you want to put chairs in front in your parking lot? We don't care even if it's in your parking lot. We just want to have a seat and have a coffee and enjoy our croissant. So that's when the idea started, you know, working into my head. And we had this opportunity in opening in Spintex, in a sports complex. So it's a place where we play paddle. I don't know if you've heard about this sports before.
Yes, I have.
Great. It looks kind of like tennis, and it's super trending at the moment. So so you can come and play paddle. There's also a soccer field for the kids, and they are still developing the area, the sports complex. And you can also come and have a nice coffee and a croissant at my place.
The ingredients which you use for the bakery, are they imported or is locally resourced stuff?
So I try my best as much as I can, because you see there's a big challenge with the locally sourced products is the consistency. So I will give you a very simple example. At a point, I had found a supplier that was making butter, real butter, like with cow milk, locally here, not imported. And the first week I was ordering from him, everything was okay. But then at a point, the butter was starting to have this coconut oil taste. So I was saying that the chocolate I was receiving, some weeks was okay, and then some other weeks it was full of oil, or I don't know what it was, but it was not melting properly. So what I did is, usually what I do is I try the products, I try the supplies, and I try them on a small quantity, like let's say for 3 months. If they are consistent, I will go buy them. So for instance, I found a perfect locally sourced chocolate, so it's local, and I've been working now with him since 1 year, and top guy. Like honestly, consistency is perfect. I mean, he's on time with the deliveries. But for instance, for the butter, I had to stop. So what we do with the butter, I buy it from a local importer, but the butter is imported. The milk, I managed to work with some locally some local brands of milk. So for example, Nana milk, you have different of them, and this works for me. But then after the flour, for example, the flour, I buy it from a local miller, but the wheat doesn't grow in Africa. At least West Africa. So the wheat is imported, but they mill it here.
Okay.
But then that's why I have developed my maize bread, my millet bread, and my fonio bread, because I go to the market myself. I go and buy my local cereals. So whether the millet, the fonio, or the maize, then I go to a local miller and I grind my own cereals. This way, I know that in my flour, the flour that I'm making, there's no additives, there's nothing. It's the pure cereal, and that's why I love those breads that much. But in general, whatever I can source locally, I will source locally. For example, we have a bread where I use a dry mango, and then I use the local almonds. I right now I don't have the how they call it locally, but it has the same shape as an almond, but it's much thinner, and it's a locally produced nut. So you see, I just try to substitute some recipes and try to adapt it to the local, to what we have available locally. But then for some items, unfortunately, no, it's imported.
Let's talk about the butter you were trying to source locally and you found out they had this coconut mixture in it. Did you go back to the supplier to try to fix it and find out what the problem was?
Of course, 100%. But you have to know that when I have a problem, when I order a batch, I don't order 200 grams. I order like maybe, 100 kg of butter or 80 kg of butter. I mean, I need to produce. When there's an issue, my bakery is still running on the side. So then I also need to have a plan B. So when that happened, it cost me a lot because I had to go and buy last minute, quickly, some butter from someone. Then with the local butter, I had to call the guy. The guy has to answer. The guy has to come. He has to pick up the butter. He has to go and analyze what has happened to it. Of course, I give my feedback because my long-term goal is really to be able to source everything locally to the possible extent, right? I know that when we are baking bread with wheat will always be imported unless magic makes that Ghana can produce wheat. But I tried and it came back, but then it had a different oil taste, and then it's difficult when you're producing in a bigger scale, because I don't think I'm a home bakery anymore. I've upgraded the quantities.
Yeah.
I need to work with the supplier who is able to produce and supply a constant quality. If you have tried 3 times means that you're also wasting time, and time is money when you're running a business. At a point, there's nothing I can do. I have lost because, of course, I bought the 80 kg of butter that has a coconut oil taste, and it's lost. It's lost. So you've already lost your money and lost your time. So you try 3 times, and then after the third time, if it doesn't work, unfortunately, and it's very sad, but you have to move on because you're a business and you cannot lose more time than that.
Did you get a refund?
No. There's no refund. No, because sometimes making business here in Ghana, you also have to accept that don't lose your time talking too much. Just have to move on. Because I have another example that just happened Saturday. And Saturday I posted an Instagram post, it was a boomerang where I was doing like this, and then I wrote like literally, I'll read it to you. So you can see that's really the reality of the business. And it was really something that was genuine. I did not say that, okay, I will post this story. Okay, so it was Saturday, literally. Okay, yes, I have it. I wrote end of day ranting, and tomorrow I'll forget everything. As much as I want to support them, rather than buying from big companies, I want to pull my hair out. The service, the customer service, the communication skills, and I put a little emoji like, oh, I want to die. because because you see, instead of me just contacting Everpack, everyone knows Everpack, the huge packaging business.
Yeah.
But it's a very big company. But instead of contacting them, I really want to support the small businesses, because that's one of my beliefs. If we support each other, we will all grow. But the thing is, oh my God, who does that? Who has this customer service? I ordered something, I paid in advance, because you see those businesses, you have to pay in advance. So that's already something that I don't like. I don't do that to my customers. Anyways, I paid in advance. I picked up. I got the delivery. When I check everything, I see that there's a mistake. They sent me a smaller box than what I had asked. And literally, I had to lose my temper. I had to call them. They never answered. I had to text voice notes. I had to explain the whole situation. For the guy at the end of the phone saying, "Oh, but I'm sorry. You cannot speak to my manager." And I was like, "What? Come on. The guy needs to know that something is wrong. Like, give the phone now." It's like I was losing my temper. And at the end of the day, I never got my boxes changed. They are still like this. And my messages are still unanswered. So it's like, it's okay. It's okay. I just lost 48 hours of my time being angry. And it's better for me to move on and then to find someone else.
Wow.
So I don't know if it's Ghana or if it's some other countries are the same. You see, I don't like to say, okay, Ghana is like that. No. But I just say that this is the experience I'm going through with some people. I think there's a real lack of customer service, Instead of just saying, "Oh, sorry, we did a mistake indeed. Don't worry, I'm sending a Yango rider quickly with the good size, and then we will just exchange it and finish." The guy was asking me to pay for the Yango, to send someone, that it's because of me, I did a mistake, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, my people, why? My people, why? So it's okay. Now I know that I will never order from them again. And you just move on. So you have those very unfortunate experiences where you will lose time and money, but then you have to accept that it's okay. No problem. Just move on. Because you won't gain anything by staying on your frustration and calling the guy, "I want my boxes. Just forget. Yeah, so but it's part of the experience. I have so many beautiful experiences. I have a lot of bad experiences as well, but together combined, I'm still doing what I'm doing, and I still wake up in the morning very happy, and I'm still here happy. That's the end of the thing.
As we round up the interview, to our French viewers and your customers around the world, would you want to say something in French for them?
Okay. Alors, what can I say to them? Okay, just merci beaucoup d'avoir regardé et mangez du bon pain. Yeah. So I literally just thanked everyone for watching, and then I said, please eat good bread.
To women all over, to women in Ghana and all over Africa who are watching you, what would your advice be to them? Those who want to get into the entrepreneurship field just like you, or who want to be a baker just like you?
Okay, so I have one advice, and I always say the same thing. Start with what you have. Don't wait to purchase a better phone. Don't wait to purchase a better oven, or just start with what you have and then grow gradually. That's how I did it, and that's how anyone around us can do it. Voila.
All right, Fleur, thank you so much for being with us on the show. We really appreciate it. We look forward to interviewing again in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
Same here. And to our viewers who are watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, tell a friend who knows a friend about Just Women Africa. And to the next show from Fleur and I, all the way in Accra, Ghana, it's bye.